All right, boys and girls, we are on lesson 13-2, and we are looking at customary units of capacity. So now we're talking about capacity, and if you take a look here, they have an illustration for you to kind of give you the relative size of each of these units. So I know that you've probably gone to the grocery store and picked up a gallon of milk, so 1 gallon. 1 quart, you've probably seen like those tall, like skinnier containers, right? They look like a milk container, but they're a little bit taller. It's equal to 1 quart. And then we have like the smaller ones that are equal to 1 pint. And then the smallest unit of measurement we're going to talk about with capacity is going to be 1 cup. So you watch this video, right, called The Land of Gallon. And I really like that one because I think it's easier for students to remember. I always see my 4th graders are recreating that Land of Gallon before they solve any customary unit capacity conversion questions. So before we even get started, what I want to do is think about that video, and I know that there's the kingdom of Gallon. So there's the large letter G. And in that kingdom, there are 4 queens. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And those represent courts. Each queen has a prince and a princess, or 2 pints. Now, let's compare that to what they've given us here. 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts, right? We have them listed as queens, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then 1 gallon, which is equal to 4 quarts, is also equal to 8 pints. So do we have 8 P's here? 2, 4, 6, 8, all within our gallon. So far, we're good. Now, each prince and princess, she said in the video, has 2 cats. So 2 C's, right? I know this gets kind of tricky, but we know that these little scribbles in here represent 2 C's, which are equivalent to 2 cups. So let's zoom in now, and we can see that in 1 gallon, we have our 4 quarts, our 8 pints. Now, if we zoom in and look, within 1 quart, so looking at just 1 queen, we have 2 pints, yes, and 4 cups, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is true. Now in 1 pint, we have 2 cups. So if we focus in on 1 pint or just one of those P's, do we see 2 cups? Yes, we do. Now let's take a look at our question. In the first question, they say that Casey has 1/2 gallon of juice. The question is, how many 1 pint containers can he fill? Well, if we're looking at 1/2, that means that we're going to cut this G, or our gallon, in half and just focus on this area right up here. So how many 1 pint containers can he fill? Well, in 1/2 gallon, I see 1, 2, 3, 4 letter P's, meaning that he can fill 4 pints. So 1/2 gallon is equal to how many pints? 4. I really recommend for each question drawing out this letter G, the Land of Gallon. I know it takes a little bit longer, but I think that it really helps students to answer these capacity questions. Let's turn the page. We're actually going to skip this one, and we're going to go on to page 487. So now let's look at question number 1. We're not going to refer to the previous page, but we're just going to answer this question. How many cups of punch does 5 gallons hold? So right now we're switching 5 gallons to how many cups? Well, if we go back to the previous page where Mrs. Body drew the Land of Gallon, we need to find out first how many cups are in 1 gallon. So 1 gallon is equal to how many cups? Well, we could solve by counting up all the C's that we see here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So if 1 gallon has 16 cups, Now we can go back to this previous question. I know now that 1 gallon equals 16 cups. So what I would have to do is multiply then by 5. 16 times 5 to solve for the number of cups in 5 gallons. So I can set that up as an area model, multiplying 16, or 10 and 6, times 5. Well, 5 times 10 is 50, and 5 times 6 is 30. When you add those partial products together, you get a total of 80 cups. Let's look at the next question. Which size container holds more, 3 pints or 3 quarts? Again, I go back to my land of gallon drawing. So we want to know, the question was 3 pints or 3 quarts. Really, you need to know which one is larger, don't you? Well, when you look at this drawing, we can see that quarts are bigger than pints, right? 3 quarts would mean 1, 2, 3 queens. 3 pints would just be 1, 2, 3. So obviously 3 quarts are going to be bigger because I know that 1 quart is larger than 1 pint. So now I can go back and answer my question. 3 quarts is going to hold more. Let's look at question number 3. 4 quarts is equal to how many cups? So again, I am going to go ahead and draw my land of gallon. And I know that this takes a little bit of time, but I think it's going to be very helpful for us. I have the large letter G for the land of gallon. And in that kingdom, we have 4 queens, which represent 4 quarts. Each queen has 2, 1 prince, and 1 princess. We know these really represent 2 pints. So 2 here. The more you draw this, the more automatic it's going to become. Each one has 2 cups. And again, we know, even though it's really small and kind of scribbled, those are 2 cups. So now we can answer the question. 4 quarts is equal to how many cups? Well, you have to look. 1, 2, 3, 4 quarts. And in that, we know we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 cups. Now, in a half gallon, we want to know how many pints. So we're going to cut this in half and focus on just 1/2 of the gallon. Pints, I see are P's, so that's I'm focusing on 1, 2, 3, and 4 pints are in half of a gallon. In a full gallon, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Let's look at 5 pints is equivalent or equal to how many cups? Again, we know the P represents pints, and we need 5 of them. So that would be like looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those P's for pints. And let's count up to see how many cups. 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. So you guys have some work that you are going to do independently. You are going to complete page 487, number 6, all the way to 14. And then you're going to turn it over, and on page 488, you're going to do 15 through 18. You do have 2 exit ticket questions, and we will meet at 2 o'clock to go over these problems.